We got the story from Fortune. Fauci says there are 5 stages of the COVID pandemic, and we are still in phase 1.
Oh, no.
I don't know what else you want me to say, guys. That's it. He says the first phase of the pandemic, or the truly pandemic, according to Fauci, is where the world is really very negatively impacted. The following 4 steps are deceleration, control, elimination, and finally eradication. Here are the characteristics, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he's basically saying, get ready. It's not going to end.
He's like, hey, everything that my career is based on is going to be around for a while, just so you know. With the COVID pandemic goes away, Fauci goes away, and he knows it. I've never even heard of the guy until this thing appeared.
I mean, people in the 80s knew who he was.
I guess, yeah.
Well, I'm just like, I look at this, and it's like, all this says to me is that the government failed. Despite all of their efforts and all of their claims of certainty that they knew exactly what to do to fix it, here we are. And this is just like an advertisement against government policy to me, to see this guy just saying, no, this is as far as we've gotten. And despite all of this, no, that we're still in stage 1.
It's been 2 years and we're still in stage 1.
It's 2 weeks.
Give us more power. You can trust us.
2 weeks to slow the spread. But there's some good news here. There's some really good news here because this is Dr. Fauci saying it. The guy flip-flops and is wrong on almost everything, which means he's probably wrong about this as well, which means we're probably closer to the end than the actual starting point. But for, again, Fauci, a lot of invested interest. He's one of the few bureaucrats that actually makes more money from his side hustles than he does from his government job. His government job pays him more than any other bureaucrat in Washington, D.C., so he's making a lot of money. There was recent financial transactions that were released showing that he has at least $10 million in assets. And this is a man who's been working for the government almost his entire life. Where has those millions of dollars come from? Well, of course, those are important questions that a lot of people should be asking. He has a lot of connections to a lot of very powerful individuals. And of course, as we know, everything that the United States has been involved in has been a big business against the American people. But how do you see this kind of unfolding, Carey? How do you see this COVID landscape, this Dr. Fauci landscape moving from this particular moment in time?
Honestly, I mean, it's just my opinion. I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016. So, take it for what it's worth. But being from Los Angeles and having spent a lot of the pandemic there, I think it's going to be very difficult for the federal government, even for state governments, local governments, to keep enforcing this because people are burned out. And Los Angeles was one of the most compliant places in the country, as far as I could tell. And it's policy-wise and just the people in general. But even like at this point, there are people they can't do it anymore. They're sick of it. Even people who got vaccinated and now they feel that they were misled. I don't want to say lied to because sure, the science changed, but there are people who feel that even though they followed all of these protocols, they followed all the policies, they obeyed, they did what they were told to be good people, and still it hasn't been resolved. I'm telling you, Los Angeles is such a liberal place. And I left for 6 weeks in the fall and I came back and there was way less compliance. Like there were people in stores not wearing masks and nobody said anything. Whereas before I left, that you didn't see that. That wasn't a thing. And I know that people are burned out because of what I'm seeing in Los Angeles, where it's heavily liberal and people really had good intentions about stopping the spread of the pandemic and doing everything they could to end it. I have a friend who got vaccinated and now he's being told, well, actually it doesn't work. You have to get another. And he's not doing it because he felt he did it for the sake of doing his part and stopping the spread.
Bill Maher did the same thing. Took one for the team and now they're not going to convince him to do it again. But the problem is if you trust the science and if the official narrative is the statements from the CDC and all that is you need to get your booster, then who are you to challenge the system? If you're doing your part, why would you stop now? Now, I will always stress, get your advice from trusted medical professionals. Don't look at me about it. But I will add, one of my favorite memes is Fauci as Vader saying, I have altered the science. Pray I don't alter it further.
Yeah.
Dude, the point of this is never to eradicate the virus. From the day one, it was to slow the spread in 15 days so that we don't overload the hospitals. End of story. Let the thing run its course. Don't overload the hospitals. That was the plan. Not this 5-point thing where number 5 is eradication of the virus. This isn't polio.
Right. And it's weird because I remember that talking point. It was we have to not overwhelm hospitals. And I'm looking at this just as I'm looking at this article. And it's like you guys have had 2 years and you haven't been able to get hospitals the resources they need. And I'm still supposed to take your advice and listen to you. Not even advice, commands. I'm supposed to obey your commands when you couldn't even solve the initial problem that all of this was for. And you've had all this time.
I think, one thing I feel like we should probably mention more, though, with all of this is as much as policy-wise, I think our position is very clear. It's very libertarian or even anarchic for you guys. I also think it's important to point out there's probably really serious long-term health effects for COVID that aren't even being picked up right now. And so I say this because, it's now been several months for us, but I still feel a presence from having COVID.
I can feel it in my back from time to time.
Yeah,
it's still here. I can tell. I'm just have an immunity to it now.
Well, I think we're all over. I think we're past it, but people get scarring in their lungs. And I think you've got on the left a complete overhyping of everything. Panic, nonstop panic. You have many on the right who are just like, be done with it. We can't, and I would agree more with that. It's like, look, I recognize it's really bad. I get it. I think we should continue to push for scientific breakthroughs on this stuff. I think we should also remind people, I'm concerned about the long-term health effects of what COVID comes.
I eat crappy food. I lose my smell after COVID. I eat garlic and onion. I regain my smell. It's not COVID's fault. Obviously, it's dietary.
The point I'm trying to make is, I think it was who was it? Was somebody tweeted, "Don't underestimate it." It was a conservative we had in the show saying like it is really, really bad. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And I think that's important.
I still can't taste or smell.
Really?
Wow.
Try dosing yourself with onion and garlic.
There's a bunch. So, but I'll put it this way: I just don't want to get lost in being upset about policy,
right?
To make it seem like we would downplay the sickness, because
right.
We talk about how you probably won't be hospitalized, you'll probably get better, but there are long-term effects, and I think that's a fair point to make.
And I think that's what's so frustrating for some people, at least, like someone like me. Like, I took it seriously. I was considerate of other people, and yet I'm still thrown into this category of just a crazy QAnon right-wing Nazi Trump supporter, when in fact, like, I've never said that COVID wasn't serious. It's not going to be as serious for some people as others. I had COVID. I was fine. It was pretty mild. I lost my sense of smell, but other than that, I was really tired, and my fever never went above 99. So like, people have different responses. It's not to say that I'm not saying that everybody is going to be fine, but some people are going to have a terrible time, and it's important to be considerate of others. The opposition is to these top-down mandates that even if they did work, I wouldn't support them because they're mandates, but add on that they're not even effective, and I think that's where so much of the frustration comes from.
To answer just really quickly is personal responsibility. If you're vulnerable, you should take extra measures to protect yourself. This is why I always been talking about terrain therapy, early treatment, something that, of course, you could be doing. This should be a big wake-up call to a lot of people saying, hey, I'm going to take my life, my health into my own hands, and I'm going to make sure that I'm the best, healthiest version of myself, because there is something. And we never underplayed it. We always took it seriously. We were affected by it. And it's important to understand personal responsibility solves all of this. Your life is in your hands. The government shouldn't be controlling your life, because when they do, they make it usually a lot worse.
That's really, all it is. I accept the risks. If I want to go bungee jumping, I'll go bungee jumping. Don't ban it. If I want to ride my bike, I'll ride my bike. If I want to go out in the middle of the woods where there's an open shooting range, that's my choice. Don't ban it for me. And I'll even add this, because I love the response from these Twitter lefties where they're like, should we ban seatbelts? And I'm like, yo, if you want to wear a seatbelt, wear a seatbelt. If I don't want to wear a seatbelt, don't force me to do it.
Exactly.
I prefer to wear a seatbelt.
New Hampshire,
no laws.
New Hampshire, no seatbelt laws.
Are you serious?
Yep, absolutely. No helmet laws either. Live free or die. It's your choice as an individual.
The first thing the free staters do, they're like, all in favor of banning seatbelt laws?
Absolutely.
I bang the gavel. It's like,
hallelujah. Thank goodness that we have a place in America where we have still some semblance of personal responsibility in your life being in your own hands. The funniest thing I saw in New Hampshire, though, was a man, a huge muscular guy, no helmet, riding a big Harley, but with a big mask on, which is a little ironic. But I understand there's bugs too. But whatever.
But hey, do your thing, man.
Yeah, that's his choice. That's
exactly.
what he wants to do. It's his personal responsibility, and I'm not even going to judge it
until he gets thrown off his bike and breaks his skull, and then we have to have 15 EMS workers come out and waste hospital space to heal this dude that could have worn a helmet.
Well, that's too bad.
Don't strain my system because you're not going to take care of yourself.
Your system?
Yeah, I'm part of this system. We all are. Don't strain it because you don't want to take care of yourself. That bothers me.
I warned you, Carey, that he was an authoritarian.
Some things
I forgot. Now
live free, but I mean, if you want to live free or die and really take that consequence, then that's a different story.
No. I think it's fair to point out. Ian makes a good point. That there are irresponsible people who don't take care of themselves. They don't wear helmets. They don't eat right. They get sick. And then they do clutter up the plumbing systems, the medical systems. There are people who play with fire and then jam up our fire department, then accidents are taken care of. I just don't think the answer is forcing people to do things in a sort of nanny state kind of way.
Because there's no limit to it. I mean, are you going to start policing obese people from eating cheeseburgers because they weigh down the system and hurt the medical institutions? Obviously, that's an incredulous kind of move that the big state control psychopaths want to have over your existence. If someone wants to win a Darwin Award, this might not sound like the nicest of things. Let them win the Darwin Award. What is that on you?
Hold on. It's not even about the Darwin Award. It's about skydiving.
Exactly.
Riding a motorcycle, even with a helmet, is very dangerous.
Yep.
Should we just say, you know what, motorcycles are banned?
But the thing about seatbelts is you don't know what a car accident's like until you get into one. And if you get into one, you better have your seatbelt on.
Because you're going to get through.
Yeah, driving cars is extremely dangerous. More people die from that than a lot of other causes of death in the United States. But are we going to ban driving?
Well, we ban heroin from kindergarten classes because we don't want kids to accidentally get hooked on it. You don't want someone to accidentally.
We don't let kids drive.
Well, yeah, we do. When they're 16, they're still considered kids technically.
Sure.
They're going to be driving trucks soon.
Where's the line? And you know what?
So they automate them all.
Ian, with respect, this is a good point because people need to understand our lines for what we tolerate they change from person to person. Like, what should the drinking age be? Some people think it should be 18. I've actually seen a lot of there's a advocacy group saying it should be 18 because they're adults, and that by making this 3-year gap from 18 to 21, you actually increase the risk of someone who lives on their own getting alcohol poisoning and they're not seeking treatment. But everybody's got a different idea of where that appropriate line is. So that's why I always lean more towards get the government out of it to a certain degree, unless typically when kids are involved to a certain age, like don't deal drugs to kids. But if you're an adult, I think you should be able to imbibe or partake as you see fit. The problem is when you decide, Ian, this guy should have to wear a helmet because he's going to clog up the system if he gets injured, where do we draw the line? Should we just be like, don't let him ride the motorcycle, dude?
Don't let him eat the cheeseburger.
Yeah. Look. No, but
I don't like commercials for sugar for kids. That bothers me. Like tobacco industry used to sell tobacco to kids.
But let's address the motorcycle thing, right? If you think someone should have to wear a helmet when they're on their motorcycle, why not just ban motorcycles? Then you get no accidents.
No, I'm not trying to prevent the accidents. I'm trying to prevent the clog to the system.
And people with helmets on will still break their legs and arms and could still get knocked out and get road rash and will still be in the hospitals. So my thing is, hey, I'll tell you what's easier, Ian. Let's get real dark with it. At least if the guy's not wearing a helmet, he won't go to the hospital. He'll go to the morgue.
Yep.
Right?
Well, that
but
doesn't always work.
But my point is, if your concern is clogging up the hospitals, you go in a dark place. The solution to the problem you present isn't what you think it is. Forcing someone to wear a helmet actually would increase the likelihood they'll go to the hospital. If you want to clear up the system, this is what happens. People don't understand with AI. They'll say something like, we want to create an algorithm that creates a system where people won't clog the hospitals. And they'll just be like, okay, no seatbelts, no helmets, everyone dies, hospitals are open. No, we don't want that either.
Yeah, I'm not looking for the world peace where everyone gets incinerated.
So we just have to accept that people are going to make choices about their lives the way they want to live happy, and as long as you're not hurting others or stealing their stuff.
What's the history of seatbelts? It used to be there were no seatbelt laws.
Wasn't Ralph Nader a big crusader? Yeah.
Well,
for adding seatbelt laws?
Mm-hmm, I think so.
Yeah. It was there was a company who created the 3-point seatbelt and then gave it away for free. And then, I don't know if this is true, so you guys can fact check me, but I was told that there were insurance companies lobbying for seatbelt laws because it won't change the amount of accidents, but it'll reduce the amount they have to pay out if people are wearing seatbelts. So they were very big advocates for forcing it. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.